So I saw that there's a story about a Muslim guy that ran over a bunch of people, apparently in a pride parade in Berlin. I think that it might actually be fake. Obviously fabricated. Weaponization by the lawless globalist communists, synagogue of Satan agents. Synagogue of Satan could be considered the same thing. It might be just a fabricated fake narrative for weaponization based purposes and political based purposes. It's a desire to penetrate. It's more of a breach, a desire for a breach, to keep extortion in control. That is, if it is fake, because they faked the shootings with Donald, and they've faked a lot of other things. So I wouldn't put it past them to do that. And Netanyahu is crooked as well. He's a communist himself, lawless. His leadership is lawless. He is a communist. There's no transparency, no trustability in the current authorities. They're weaponizing fabricated stuff. That's what Nazi Germany did. And they're accusing everybody else of being Nazis when they're doing everything Nazi Germany did. So, it doesn't make any sense when they say it, and they also make accusations that way when, in all reality, it's baseless. They don't know what the hell they're talking about when they say that. They'll say, it's just, they preach a false doctrine. They put out a false doctrine that Israel's way is the only way. They put out a false doctrine on a lot of things when they are not the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They don't follow the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So with that said, they don't have the blessing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They would have the judgment passed upon them from God, like the plagues that have been seen globally. They can try to blaspheme the plagues that are being poured out on their abominations, which it's occurring because they are like Pharaoh. They are an authority of Pharaoh. And, I just wanted to say, mention this because it's weaponization of the press. It's not free press. It's government, bureaucracy, extortion, and tyranny being spouted out into, private interests from what I would label as the synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan's defamatory narrative for extortion-based purposes. That's what I would label it, potentially. Just that instance, it might not be true, but in the overall, it is true with the fake news and the fake fabrications. So, with that said, there's that, and there's also the fact of the matter that all these pride people. Okay, let's get this straight too. There's a lot of trans community and all that. They're out shooting pastors and churches, and let's not forget about that. That might have been fabricated itself, but the fact of the matter is all the pride. It's not just pride. There's pride. There's the gay community, and then there's the fascists that desire to penetrate into the church and take what belongs to the church from the church, and take from the people of God what belongs to God, God's people. It doesn't belong to the pride LGBTQ woke community. They want to take, it's like they want to take the Ark of the Covenant. Well, it's not for them. It's really what it is. That's what I think that weaponization is for. But this is a real thing, and there is a woke, what I would also call a conspiracy of the synagogue of Satan that desires to enslave God's people. I've witnessed it. I've had it happen to me. And Netanyahu, they have their Israeli spies here. Like I said, he has a lawless governance. They're all lawless, just about. And then, you know, when I call out the lawlessness, they call it, oh, he's an anti-Semite now. No, they're lawless. They're lawless communists. They desire slaves, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Anyways, they desire to breach in and take what belongs to me away from me, and they claim it to be theirs. That's really what's happening. You know, and I say the people of God because I'm aware that many are called. So, you know, in instances they would take from other people of God. I know I'm a called seed. I know I have the favor of God on my life. They want to take what's mine in that. And with that said, they could be considered the abomination of desolation, the rainbow dragon of hell, conspiracy of hell. That's what they could be considered. So, the defamation, this needs to be acknowledged because, a lot of the Satanists, they're doing the same thing, and it might actually just be a coordinated abomination by the synagogue of Satan, which I would label them both the same thing. The extreme woke community, they're grouping together to weaponize against people like me. What I call faith, they blaspheme and desire to exploit. They will blaspheme against the Holy Ghost, which actually is an unforgivable sin. Blasphemy against the Holy Ghost is an unforgivable sin in the Bible. But anyways, they desire to penetrate, and Israel is standing with that abomination and its fabricated shit. And Netanyahu is a secular, lawless. I'm not even going to say he's a Jew, because I don't know if he even is a Jew. He might be the synagogue of Satan that claims to be a Jew but isn't. But he's siding with the wokeology, blasphemy, abomination and desolation of rainbow dragon conspiracy of hell. And with that said, I'm going to label him the same thing, because he might be gay behind closed doors, and he's siding with the what could be considered the enemies of God. And if that was real that he did that, it might be along the lines of that's the what I'm explaining is the reason why he did it, because they are communists, oligarchies, and fascists desiring to steal. So that can contribute to a response from someone. It can. Not all weapons are through plain warfare. You can escalate and create conflict through other things other than just the sword and killing people. They can force another nation or person to retaliate through other means than just punching them in the face or anything else. They can do it by trying to extort them, trying to defame them, trying to ruin their life, They can do that. They can force retaliation through that. So, with that said, I'm not going to join the news networks of this age, because obviously they've lost their. I think that they've lost their reputation and reliability with a lot of things, with all the the smart people out there. I don't think that there is a news network that's good right now. Not a single one. They always add their bureaucrats or synagogue of Satan agents to re-narrate everything. It's all re-narration, private interest, abomination, and corruption. So I just wanted to say that there is what could be called a terrorist regime with the Pride, a terrorist oligarchy and fascist regime coming from the Pride community that desires to kick God out of everything. Just like they want to be called men and women, they want power to, they want a coddled state. And with that, they want a coddled state with things that belong to other people. It's all coordinated destruction. And, I just figured I'd say something, because somebody intelligent needs to say something about it. And it's obvious there's only private interests speaking on the subject on the big news platforms.